Okay. So I wasn't sure what to title the class, and I woke up in the morning and I said, I know what to title the class.
Okay, but you have to have a title. Like, could you like not even have titles, like we're having a class,
So what did I say? How to survive the desert. So a desert, everything that we see in this world is a mirror reflection of heaven. So if there's a place of a desert on earth, a place that's dangerous to be, a place with snakes and scorpions, a place that has no water, then spiritually speaking, a desert is a place that's dangerous spiritually. But any way you look at it, a desert represents a place of galus, a place of challenges, a place of difficulty. And the question is how to survive. And in this class, we're going to learn that we cannot survive the spiritual desert just by protecting ourselves. Only by looking out for those who may seem lost can we survive the desert. Okay, so we're going to go back. Well, let's start from the beginning. And I'm speaking to myself. I'm speaking to all of us here. And I'm speaking to Rachel, Jared's wife, and to Hannah Kaufman and Victoria Kaufman, Rachel's and Jared's children. And we're gonna take this journey together. And although we're crying and heartbroken, to try to figure out how we could take one step forward. Yeah. Okay, so this week's parsha, right in the beginning, Parshas Beshalach, what does it say? It happened when Paro sent the people that God did not lead them by way of the land of the Plishtim, because it was near. For God said, perhaps the people will reconsider when they see a war, and they will return to Egypt. And God took the people around toward the way of the wilderness, to the Sea of Reeds, to the Yam Suf. And the children of Israel were armed when they went up from Egypt. Moshe took the bones of Yosef with him, for he had made the children of Israel swear, saying, God will surely remember you, and you shall bring my bones up from here with you. So in this parsha, it describes to us the route that Hashem led the Yidden, which was around the Yam Suf, in a roundabout way through the desert. And then it says that the Jews were armed. And then it says that Moshe, before they left Egypt, when everyone was busy collecting, going to their neighbors and collecting all the jewelry and all the money, Moshe was busy with getting Yosef's bones out of the Nile. What happened was the Egyptians knew that the Jews would not be able to leave Egypt without Yosef's bones. So they put his bones, his body in a casket, and they dropped it down to the bottom of the Nile, thinking the Jews will never be able to get it. Moshe, I as a child, I heard it was a piece of paper, but when I was preparing for this class, I heard that it was like a golden plate, and it was engraved on it, Alei Shor, which means get up, ox. And Moshe put this golden plate in the water, and the coffin came up, and then some people got hold of that golden plate, and it was later ended up. It was at the end. Later on, was used. Actually, it was thrown into the fire, and from there came the golden calf. So, okay.
Let me just say that did that after the golden calf.
Alei Shor means get up. Alei Shor means get up, ox, and And
There was Kedusha.
You might have to, it almost like it worked on them.
Zelu Maza Bar Elikim. For every
Right.
holy force, there's the
Yeah.
equal opposite force.
Question, why was Hashem afraid that they're gonna see war? What war is he talking about? He kept them in a roundabout way because he didn't want them to see war and get scared. What war is?
Well,
The Egyptians are running after them, so then they might just decide to go back.
okay, that's a good answer. The Egyptians would come chase them, but also there's going to be the war of Amalek. That's a very good question. Yeah, because at the end of the parsha, it speaks about the war of Amalek.
Right.
I'm going to connect that as well. Okay, so the first question that we have to ask ourselves is, what is the connection between leaving Egypt armed and taking Yosef's bones? As a matter of fact, they left. What happened first? First, they took the bone. First, Moshe got the bones, and then they left Egypt. It's telling you that it's already. They already left. It's describing the route how how Hashem is taking them in a roundabout, longer way, and it says that they came out armed from Egypt, and then it says Moshe took out the bones. So seemingly the bones, you should talk about taking out the bones first, but it's specifically in this order, and Kli Yakar explains why is it, what is the connection between going out of Egypt armed and taking out Yosef's bones. The Kli Yakar says, before the Yidden got the Torah, what was their weapon, or what was their method, or what was the way for the Yidden to be able to travel and to clear all the snakes and scorpions and to level out the ground for them to travel? So, so after the giving of the Torah, the Aron with the Luchais traveled before the Jewish people. I believe it actually says that it traveled like a few days ahead, to pave the way for the Jews. But now when they're first coming into the desert, they didn't have the Torah.
Also did that for him.
Yaakov also did that for them. There was a pillar of cloud.
These bones that you're saying that's behind them, not in front of them.
No.
Oh, so now
No.
they need to get these bones.
So first of all, yes, they did have the clouds of glory that was leading them, but they also had the Aron, which had the Luchais once Torah was given. But before the Torah was given, it says that the Aron of Yosef, the casket of Yosef, was there to protect them and lead them. And why? Because Yosef kept everything in the Torah. Before the Torah was given, Yosef already kept everything in the Torah. So it was so since he kept everything in the Torah, it was as if the Aron with the Luchais was traveling before them. So what does it mean that they were armed? That they had the bones of Yosef. That's one explanation. Another explanation of the Kli Yakar is he's not taking the words chamushim of being armed, but he takes the words that come first in the pasuk, which is that Hashem led the Yidden in a roundabout way through the Yam Suf, and Kli Yakar says that Moshe was worried. What's going to happen? We're going to come to the Yam Suf. We're going to come to the sea, and how are we going to able to get past that? So the bones of Yosef was actually what made the sea split. It says in Hallel, Hayam Ra'av Ayanas. The sea saw, the sea, S-E-A saw, or see did see, S-E-E, saw what the sea saw something, and then it split. So what did it see? It saw the bones of Yosef, and that's what made it. And then it fled, and then it split. Okay, national that's also true. Yeah, they're both true. It's a kli yakar. It's not the pshat. It's not the pshat. So the problem with the kli yakar's answers is, number one, we haven't yet learned that there was an arain that had the luchais. So to say that Yosef's coffin is a temporary replacement for the aron that's going to carry the luchais, it's not according to pshat, because according to pshat we don't even know that there's aron and luchais yet. And for the second explanation of the kli yakar, which is that Yosef's bones is what made the sea split, it doesn't say so in the Pesukim. It doesn't say that Yosef's bones had anything to do with Kriyas Yamsuf, with the splitting of the sea. So basically, we're back to square one, because we have to understand, according to Pshat, according to the Pesukim, we have to understand what is the link between the actual journey in the desert and Yosef's bones, and also what lesson is there for all times and all
It
places.
could still be the same thing, that it was there to watch them because Yosef did protect them and everything, I mean, Hashem protected them through Yosef, but until Yosef passed away, things were different. So that Kedusha and the fact that he wanted them to take his bones out, so even if it's not the Aron and the Luchos and whatever, it's still that, he was part of them.
Okay, absolutely. Absolutely. Yosef's bones absolutely gave them a special power to persevere in the desert. And you have to understand what is that power? What is Yosef? What is the power that Yosef gave us to persevere in the desert? But before we actually answer the question, we have another question that's very disturbing. And that is, why does the Torah refer to Yosef's bones and say bones? That's not very respectful. You should say the Aron of Yosef, especially if you're going according to the Kli Yakar, who says that there were two Aronos. There was the Aron, Bris Hashem that had the Luchais, and then there was the Aron of Yosef. Aron is a lot more respectful than to say someone's bones or say Yosef. To say bones it seems very disrespectful. As a matter of it's true that Yosef said it about himself. Yosef said, "Va'alisem es atzmaisai." You should take up my bones when you leave. But still, what is the deal with what is the deal? Why does it say in the pasuk, "Vayikach Moshe atzmos Yosef"? Moshe took the bones of Yosef. It should say Moshe took the aron of Yosef. Why the bones? So the reason why it says bones, because it wants to emphasize something. What are bones? What do bones do? What is the function of bones? Yes, the bones hold the body together. If we didn't have bones, we'd just be like a smashed latke, right? Bones is the structure that holds up the anatomy of the human being. Yeah. So the bones represent the core and the essence of a human being. As a matter of fact, the word etzem, which is bone, comes from the word atzmos, right? Which is essence.
So the Lashon Kodesh word for bones.
Etzem. Etzem
For bones.
for bones.
Is
But
Etzem.
Oh, wow.
But Etzem is also
Right,
the
that's
Etzem.
Etzem is the essence and the core.
Okay, well, it makes sense, you use it in honor of the bones of a person, like, how does you say that,
The bones of a house.
Yeah.
They talk about.
You use it at the real bones of, you just say it.
Right.
So what has to be taken out of Egypt? Not just his, not his remains, but rather his essence. And this is very critical information for us and for anyone who's going into the desert. Critical information to go through any kind of hardship is you have to take with you the essence of Yosef. What does it mean, the essence of Yosef?
Right.
What does it mean, the essence of Yosef? We want to try to survive in the most difficult
But I guess
circumstances.
I mean, I'm just jumping ahead, like the way like what he was kept his own, because he found everything, he kept it in this place, I'm saying, going back to what he personified living in this time, and he was the one that was fought everything around him.
Okay. So that's all amazing and true, but we're gonna, in order to know what is the essence of Yosef, we're gonna go and look at his name. His name, Yosef, because a name shows on your essence. The fact that whatever your name is was given to you by Ruach HaKodesh, and through the letters of your name, that's how you actually get.
No, we think
That's your
like,
highest.
like we think of names like now my daughter-in-law, there's no names, like she's the oldest grandchild, so like there's no names, and it's like, no, I'm saying there's no names, because she has grandmothers and she's named after her
Right.
great-grandmother. I said, whatever you want, but it's interesting to see like people say like, I want a nice name, or
So that's real
Whatever.
that name.
And somebody said that she was supposed to, they named their kid Mondays and Thursdays. And she was just looking at a baby and she just told her husband, I don't have a name yet. And then it seems like she used to visit this older woman in Israel who didn't have any children. And then all of a sudden, like maybe on Wednesday, she realized.
The name
wait,
popped into her
that's
head,
the
like,
name
oh
that
my
popped
gosh.
into the head. Like when you said, a baby is a 10-year person, so maybe you just have to think, like
Right,
when
she
the
likes-
person, when you looked at it, she didn't give the other names that were so much closer, but that's what I thought my baby was.
we
So I
laughed at
guess-
her a little bit.
I laughed at
because-
her, but when you think about it,
Because it was grandmothers that she knew, my sister, it was grandmas that she knew. And I was scholarship for a girl, and I'm like, what, you didn't give like Bobby Weinberger's name, like your mother's mother? I would have like, all for girls to give her a name, and it's like, she gave like next, like,
They
regeneration.
say you should give your kids good names if you want that people name after them. It's true. Think about it when you name someone, because people will not name after ugly name, no matter how much they like that grandma sometimes.
Right.
And also you have to feel
Right.
bad. I heard a big Rob say that you can't just give a name Sprinza. I mean, I don't know Sprinza here.
I have a daughter, Sprinza. I love Sprinza.
Okay, sorry. Can I get this? She doesn't mind her name is Sprinza?
She doesn't know what that's her name. Yeah,
But like, is she gonna feel bad that her name is Sprinza one day?
I don't think so.
Okay, so in our world, it's not so popular.
And all that's also not popular.
And guess what? In our world, it's not so popular. Okay, let's call a spade a spade. Let's be honest here. It's not. It's nice to hear, but you can't say it's the most wanted name on the list, okay? Let's go around the table here.
This is going viral.
I think we're good.
Was named from
I think we're all enough to say
And I
that.
thought it was the
Okay,
ugliest
yeah,
name.
yeah, like.
And I passed by my friend's
My daughter
house.
named her honey. She doesn't like the family. You know what?
I said, "She's the ugliest name ever." All of a sudden, she
Very
has like 20 names. I remember that's her middle
Oh,
name.
okay. No one likes
And when we
Hans.
would write into the record, it said it's the
Nobody
birthday.
gives
She'd
a
go,
shit. It's a fine. It's fine.
and she's so proud of her name. Goodbye.
By the way, why do you name Sprinza?
I named Sprinza. Okay, first of all, she has a second name, Bluma, also.
Let me because you named for somebody.
I named for someone.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
something is very special.
I named for my husband's grandmother who was killed in the Holocaust.
Okay, so you're special.
And if not for that, how would that?
Okay, so
She
you-
sacrificed for us to
That's
be
so
here.
typical. Both of us are not so special like Connie, and we wouldn't do it because I mean, the name is not that most.
I think if your child knows it represents something and.
No. I hear a lot of people don't like their names. There are a lot of people they'll tell you, they'll come in and they'll say, I hate my name. And people will say they cry about their names, you'd be surprised.
Second name.
You know, not true. It's asking, but I work with people confide in me. Over the years, and they will, they'll change their name. They'll call themselves a different name. So we have to, let's be honest, let's take away all the frills and life. There's some things we like, we don't like. And some people will say, let's take away that I don't like my name. Yes, it's my mom named after Sprinza, but I'm not because I love the name. So that's what I'm saying. And they're written, I'm not
You
saying.
grow to love the name.
Okay, but some people, there is a.
I know from one of my children, it was a very hard name, I hated it, well, as soon as I knew that it was representing
it's-
something, my whole.
You, but.
Not me, my whole perspective, and my child is very confident about his name, even though it's not a very popular name.
Right, so,
So
okay,
there's
but,
never negativity.
so this is not me, there's a big
If
rub,
you
I'll
don't
get
still
the
say
name of the
negativity,
rub.
for that.
And so there's a rub that spoke recently, and I just had to say, you have to really understand that you have to sometimes think that you're, I mean, Sprinza in your family, but sometimes if you know that it's a name that your kids Think about the kid, like he has to go to life with that name. Is it easy, bad, not easy?
Well, it's perfect, it's so different, it's unique.
Not everybody's so resilient like that.
She doesn't. My nephew's name
My
is
daughter has a
Yukio.
name,
Yeah.
well,
My nephew's name was Yukio in a
Why don't we finish here with maybe Yosef, let's see what.
Yeah, it's safe. Okay.
but it's Riksha, I think it's more
My
like.
son is Joseph, I really want to hear about this.
Yosef means to add
Okay.
on.
So what does Yosef mean? What does it mean? You have to look at his name. And a name shows what is unique about the person that distinguishes him from everybody else. What distinguishes the name Yosef from any other name? And we have to look at what his mother said when she named him. She said, Yosef li Hashem ben Acher. First she said, Hashem gathered my grief. And then she said, there should be an addition of another son. She had this baby, and this was the 11th one of the Shvatim. She knew there was supposed to be one more Shevet, and she said, may Hashem give me another, a ben Acher, another son.
After this one?
Yeah.
She named him for basically.
She named him, she has a baby.
Yaman should have been Yosef, like she added on, so she knew that.
She named him, and she said, may Hashem give me another son.
May Hashem add on.
May Hashem add on me another son.
I did not expect to.
Wow.
So well, but
Wow.
Hashem made us a surprise.
Wow. Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay. But if she wanted to say, Hashem should give me another son, she could have said, Yosef li Hashem ben. Hashem should add for me another a son. But what did she say? Ben Acher. Not just another son, Another, but rather an other son, Other. An other son. Acher, meaning Acher means like we learned in Tanya, Sitra Achra, the other side. What is she saying? She's saying, Yosef li Hashem ben Acher, Hashem should add. So that's the simple explanation. Hashem should give her the last shevet, but ben Acher, a child who is outside of the fold, who is separate from holiness, and turn him into a ben, to be connected, intimately connected, and to have a relationship with Hashem.
Other side of holy.
She said, okay, so who is she referring to? Okay, she actually was referring to Yeravam ben Nevat, who was a descendant of Yosef, and he served Avodah Zarah and got other people to serve Avodah Zarah. And what is she saying? From Yosef, we get the power to take someone who behaves in a way that is opposite to Judaism and to turn him back into someone who everyone says this is a child of Hashem. Yosef li Hashem ben Acher, not just Yosef li Hashem ben, not just Hashem give me another son, but take someone who is not doing the right thing, and turn him into a ben. Take an Acher, someone or something that opposes godliness, that rebels against Hashem, and to turn him into a ben, turn him into a son.
I'm amazed that it's Yosef, but it's really Binyamin. Binyamin had to do that work, but Yosef got the name.
Yosef from Yosef is where we get the power, this power to transform something or someone that's on the other side of holiness, and to bring them back to, everyone should recognize that they're a child of Hashem.
Wow.
And Hashem treats us measure for measure, mida keneged mida. So we, at this point in Torah, are leaving Egypt. Why? Because we are Hashem's children. And therefore, we have the responsibility to make sure that all of Hashem's children are living and feeling like they're Hashem's children. And this links to the end of the parsha. The end of the parsha speaks about Amalek. And who is the one to fight the war against Amalek? It's Yehoshua. Of course, it was under the direction of Moshe Rabbeinu. But who is Yehoshua? He is a descendant of Ephraim, who's the son of Yosef. And he is the one that has to fight Amalek. How is it possible for Amalek to even attack the Jews in the first place? So what happened? The Yidden just came out of Mitzrayim. They just experienced tremendous miracles. But there were some Jews that wobbled in their faith. And they said, is Hashem amongst us? And those Jews who sinned and who didn't believe in Hashem, they were actually expelled from the clouds of glory. And they actually were traveling behind the Jews. And they were the only ones that could be attacked. Only the Jews that were in a state of acher, that went against Hashem, that sinned, that didn't believe, only those people could Amalek even touch. Those that had a healthy relationship with Hashem couldn't be touched. And Amalek comes, and Amalek comes, the voice of Amalek comes and says, I'm not bothering the Jews who live in the Jewish community. I'm only here to hurt the people that are outside of the Jewish community. And why should you expose yourself to danger? Stay in the cloud, stay in your Jewish community, and why put yourself in danger, spiritually or physically? And we might actually listen to this voice of Amalek and say, he's right. But Hashem says, no, go out of the cloud of glory and fight. And fight for who? Fight for these Jews who are in a state of acher, who are distant from Hashem. And this is when we leave Egypt, we have to know this is the introduction. The introduction to leaving Egypt is to know that Judaism is all about turning the acher into a ben. And that's why we have to take Yosef's bones out, not just for the past, because the Jewish people made a promise that they wouldn't leave without the bones of Yosef. Not just they couldn't leave without the bones, they couldn't continue without the bones. They couldn't survive in the desert, and they couldn't fulfill the mission statement of Judaism without the bones of Yosef, which represent that our whole mission statement and the whole point of Judaism is all about turning the acher into a ben, which could be with regards to people, with regards to everything that we come in contact with, to take the acher, to take anything that's the other side of holiness, and to turn it into a ben, to make it holy. That's our mission statement. There's a parable of a father who's traveling, and his son is on his shoulders. And someone walks by and the child says to the passerby, do you know where my father is? And the father said, I can't leave it. You don't know that I'm holding you? So he takes his son off his shoulders to show him, listen, I'm the one, I'm protecting you, I'm holding you. And when the father takes the child off the shoulders, a dog comes and bites the child. And the dog is Amalek.
Part time with that they're called acher. I wouldn't want my child to be called acher.
Right? So that's exactly the point of it. Take the acher and turn it into a ben. What we have to do is we have to take a person who turned his back on the Jewish community and bring him back into the community. He turned his back onto the Jewish community, and you bring him back to the Jewish community. That's our responsibility.
He knew that people would turn, basically, and she was trying to give the people.
So according to the pshat, she was asking for another son. Give me another son. But she could. Why does the Torah use the word acher? Go deeper. Go deeper. The whole point of Yosef, what Yosef teaching us, the essence of Yosef is that when we go into Galus, remember, it's not just something that happened then. It's for us today. When we're in a desert, when we're in a place of despair and pain and when we're in a place of where we're just when there's no words to the pain and suffering, it's talking to us today. It's not just a desert that was then. When we're in the desert, when we feel like when there's no water and there's snakes and scorpions surrounding us and we're in danger spiritually, physically, we don't know where to turn. We're lost sheep. What do we have to do? What do we have to do when we're in a desert? At the same time, when we're experiencing the most tremendous pain, what we have to do is take something that's acher, that's on the other side of holiness, and bring and make it holy. Which is unbelievable that this is what Hashem's asking us to do. We're in a state of pain, and we have to say, "Listen, I'm not interested. I'm so angry, Hashem. I can't understand your ways. I don't want to, do another mitzvah." But yeah, what is Hashem telling us that when we're in this galus, when it's so dark, when there's an October 7th, when there's so much pain and suffering, what do we have to do? What do we have to do? We have to take an acher and turn it into a ben. We have to bring more light into the world. Bring more holiness into the world. Do another mitzvah. Do you know how many mitzvahs are going to? Do you know how many more mitzvahs are going to be done in honor of such wonderful people, that their lives are taken so suddenly, so abruptly at a young age? There's going to be.
I think I appreciate more. Like when, as being a Baruch Hashem, I could be a healthy mother. Like I appreciate life more when I think, let's say, about my sister-in-law. Like Kaddish is up like yesterday or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when I think about it, but the problem is sometimes you don't think about it, those people. So how when you're inspired, like what do you do to keep the inspiration? Like
Our sister-in-law was a mother
of the year.
She was, yes. She had a full-time help at home, and she never let the nanny take the kids off the bus. She was there on time every single. She fought for. I was with her in the bungalow colony. Her kids had to have the pool. She was a mother bear. Let me tell you, she was a tiger when it came to her kids. She gave them everything and loved them to pieces, and just her whole essence was it's the kids. Everything.
So what's our response to tragedy? Our response to tragedy is to get one more Jew to do one more mitzvah. And I texted Rachel and I said, Rachel, would it be okay if I'm not going to be able to go to Shiva tonight, but I did order baskets on Amazon. I didn't see it at my front door, so I hope when I get home we'll be there. My mother, she put together these beautiful Shabbos candle kits, and I said, Rachel, and they're in such tremendous pain. I can't even describe it. There are no words to describe it. And I said, would it be okay if I gave you Shabbos candle kits to give to the people that are coming to come for you for Shiva? And she said yes. And that's incredible.
So the acher is bringing the lights that they're lighting.
In
this tragedy, by having someone light candles now is the acher, bringing them the lights.
You're taking someone maybe who didn't light candles before and giving them an opportunity to
people that come to student house that are going to light now, that will never come. That's turning the tragedy into.
It's a tragedy. How can we increase
And I always like go back to like this
Gosh,
question of having people light the power, like another like, so I told you I had this client that I started lighting with her because of Khani, and she never lit in her life with a guy from a Jewish, and we liked. And then some weeks she was being a little harsh, she stopped off, and I was starting to say, you know what, I might be a father to her. And I was starting to stop off because at the beginning she was very excited, and every week at 5 o'clock and we lit, and she was so excited, and then like we do it on Zoom before I lights. And she never lived her whole life. It was a beautiful thing. And she's like,
Nani inspired you,
feel
sure.
connected, and Judy's, and it's beautiful. She's taught, and then, for a while, like some weeks didn't work. And then I missed a few weeks, and she would tell me like, sometimes I can't make it. And she'd say, I'll do it later, I get home. And for like a month, I was like getting like, I'm like, maybe I should let it go. I know I'm pushing her. I'm like, Lisa, no, be strong with her. Like, because that's a big mitzvah. So they started to be a little more pushy again. And then this week I just saw it today. So Lisa, even though you didn't do it, I did it myself this week at 5:15 myself.
Wow.
I did it. But my next step is, do you want to come for a Shabbos meal? Like I'm thinking also the same thing. Do I take it to the next level? I'm like starting to
I
like,
did that with
you know,
my lady,
but like,
and I only get lit it once.
yeah,
I
she's
said
going
to
to
her,
come with her
Yeah.
daughter who's, and I'm saying,
Follow
like,
up with someone.
am I really gonna, I'm really gonna make a difference? If I see she's so far, but is it really gonna knock them?
Yes,
This?
yes,
After, I
yes.
gotta bring her and,
Yes, absolutely.
yeah, if she wants to come, and I'm like a little bit like, is it really gonna make
I
a different
call-
light? But this is it, this is the light that's gonna come in. Yeah,
I told you this, Charlene's not feeling well, this Charlene
yeah,
Amazon.
yeah,
So she does shekels for insurance purposes. And she posted that
Yeah.
she met someone in her position, because she's letting us know that she's not feeling well. And she told her that she does wigs, so she came to her. And when she came to her, she said, are you Jewish? And she said, yes. She goes, would you like to light the
Yeah.
Shabbos candles? And when she went back to the doctor, and it seems like
some things were better.
her numbers are much better.
Wow. Wow.
She never lit in her life either.
And she wrote, like, in case anyone can, for her report going on.
That's our response, to find someone who doesn't light Shabbos candles on a regular basis, or doesn't put on tefillin on a regular basis, or anything. That is our response, to bring more light into the world. Take the acher and make it into a ben. And had the Jews gone straight into Israel, they wouldn't have needed Yosef's bones. It would have been a quick transition, and it wouldn't have been necessary. But when we go into a midbar, when we go into the desert, and they were there for 40 years, and a desert is a dangerous place. It's overwhelming. There's snakes and scorpions. We're thirsty. There's no water. It's dangerous physically. It's dangerous spiritually, and it's not for humans it's not a human habitat. And Adam shows Adam, which means a person, shows on a Jew. So a Jew really doesn't belong in the desert. Now, Adam is a term for a Jew, which is a higher term, and a Jew doesn't, generally speaking, does not belong in a desert, in a spiritual desert. But look at the history. What happened? We actually were in the desert for 40 years, and there was many different challenges, and there were many times that the Jews complained, and they didn't pass every single test. And therefore, when you're in a desert, at all times, you have to have Yosef's bones present. You have to be committed to the job of turning the foreign Jew back into a child of Hashem. And this is a lesson for all times and all places. Well, if you're going into a midbar, or if you find yourself in a midbar, you have to ensure that you keep focus to make sure that to find people that are disconnected and to restore them back to be a child of Hashem. And this is now, go back, look at the pasuk, and says, what does it mean that they went with weapons, right? They came out of Egypt with weapons. The word for weapons, that they came out with weapons, is chamushim. But the word chamushim also has the word chamesh in it, 5. They went out chamushim. Only 1/5 of the Jewish people actually came out. Only 20% of the Jews actually left Egypt. The other 80% died in Egypt by the plague of darkness. So that's what happened then. When we left Egypt, only Chamushim, only a fifth came out, only 20% came out. But for the coming of Mashiach, there will not be one Jew left behind.
So why was there a Jew left behind in
Mitzrayim was different then. The Mitzrayim only a fifth were able to come out.
We weren't like nation, we weren't committed, we
now
didn't have the rest.
But now Hashem's
Grab onto
We
mitzvahs.
ones that came to Mitzrayim that we were very saw, we weren't Jews yet. We weren't like, we didn't have we weren't the same as we were after Har Sinai.
But what happened in Egypt never happened, will never happen again. When Mashiach comes, every single Jew will be taken out. In the Haggadah, what do we say? We say there are 4 sons, and we say to the Rasha, Ilu hayasham lo haya nigal. We tell the Rasha, if you would have been in Egypt, you wouldn't have been redeemed. You would have died there.
nasty.
But it's nasty. But if you turn it, but the Hasidic interpretation is Ilu hayasham. If you would have been there, you wouldn't have been redeemed. But today, you would be redeemed. Because for this redemption, every single Jew, not one Jew will be left behind. Even the Russia who's kicking and screaming and protesting is going to come out. And
So things are hidden now. It's not so revealed. So what seems like a Russia is not a Russia, really.
Well, I don't know
I don't know.
if I'm understanding everything correctly, but it reminds me of like on the campuses, there's all Jewish Voices for Peace, JDP. I mean, it's massive. It's massive what's going on. They're Hillels that you think they're not, some of them are anti-Zionist.
I know, I saw that.
A lot of them. That's why
Because they're being fed in the campuses the most, like that's what
But
it
they
is.
don't want Trump to
Believe it. Thank you.
It
take
doesn't-
away that
it doesn't,
visas
yeah.
from anti-Semitic.
Right.
Like, what just happened?
and I wonder if.
They're
you know,
brainwashed the most. The
I have to-
college students are
it's
brainwashed beyond. Like,
think
enough
that's
is
so
saying.
many- there's no
Enough
need.
is saying. You talk to them, they're not even, they don't make sense.
When a kidnapped person
You're saying this, and I'm like,
has
I have to
sympathy
think
for their
there's some
kidnap.
hope for them.
absolutely,
Because I know you
Right,
wouldn't.
right.
give up.
absolutely, we can't give up on anyone.
And I know, like, 5 rabbis at different campuses have tried to talk to the kids, when they were in the tents, or to try to.
They say
But
the
it's
college, the
really
universities are being
There's no-
brainwashed the
there's
most.
no-
If you really talk to someone
Because they don't know
individual,
what
they don't make sense.
Attachment to it.
They're not even talking, if you take them on an individual level and you really sit down, they don't know what they're saying. They sound stupid. It's all camaraderie and propaganda. They don't know what they're saying. It's like the proof of what.
They want to be.
Yeah, it's really, that's why it's called the college
There
students.
are a lot of them, and
Yeah.
you think it's hopeless, and then
Yes.
our people like slam them, and say, like, want to give up on them, and part of me like feels bad because.
We can't give up on them. Every single Jew, we need every single Jew to for Mashiach to come.
Trump, we needed every vote, like, we need every.
They
Jew.
will.
What was I relating it to the word?
Yes, 100%. And just
neighbor who was very,
Uh,
she was always railing against.
thank you for coming.
Always railing against the observant community, and then 9/11 happened. And it happened in the morning, and she took $1 and she ran over to my sister who lived across the street from me. Could you please put this in the pushka? But she, because
She knew that it was, she needed.
when it comes to it,
when the person said,
You wake
the
up.
person
Wake
said
up.
they're an atheist, God help me. I
Yes.
thought you're an atheist.
Right.
I was listening to Rabbi Tzvi Friedman this morning discussing why do atheists pray? There are atheists that pray. What are they praying to? They can't put it into words.
Right.
But guess what? We also can't put it into words.
Right.
There are no words. That's what he's saying. Really, the reality is, we don't know Hashem. You can't put Hashem into a box because it's not. He's everything. He's anything. He's not. That's what they're praying to. They just don't know how to explain that feeling in their heart. Hashem is not something you can. He's not tangible. So what is he? It's. You can't explain it, and that's what you're davening to. So they don't want to call it Hashem. Okay. But they're also davening to Hashem.
God, no, but they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just the awareness that every single Jew is going to turn around and it's gonna become Hashem's son, that everyone could say this is Hashem's son. Just that awareness should already inspire every single Jew to live a life where everyone could see that they're a child of Hashem. Okay. Now we're gonna. Okay, so that was part one. Now we are going to connect all this to the month of Shvat, which is the month that we're in now. There's a special link between Yosef and the month of Shvat. Okay. There are 12 months of the year, and there are 12 Shvatim. So each Shevet corresponds to another month of the year. So if Yosef is the 11th child, the 11th month from Nisan is Shvat. So Yosef is connected to the month of Shvat. Okay, now, every single month has a different combination. Hashem's name, which is Yud Hey Vav Hey. You could turn the letters around, and there's 12 different combinations. And each combination represents another month. The combination of these 4 letters of Hashem's name for the month of Shvat is Hamer Yimirenu V'Hayahu. It's Hey Yud Vav Hey, because that's a different combination. Hamer Yimirenu V'Hayahu are 4 words smack in the middle of a pasuk. And what is it talking about? The context of the content of what's going on is, the halacha is that if you take an animal and you say, this animal, I am setting it aside to be a karban, you should not swap it for another animal. And if you do, then the penalty is that both animals become holy and both animals have to be brought up as a karban. So that's the pas. That's what it's talking about. And the 4 words that are chosen to have that start with Yud Hey Vav Hey is Hamer Yimirenu, which almost seems like a command that you should do it. Hamer Yimirenu means to make an exchange, to swap. Hamer Yimirenu, make the swap, make this exchange. V'hayahu, and it will be him. Really, it's saying you shouldn't make the swap. So in a situation where everything is good, where everyone is doing what they're supposed to be doing, then don't switch. Don't switch yourself for another animal. Don't switch one animal for another animal. But usually you may not swap an animal once you've already designated it as a karban. And if you transgress this prohibition, you deserve lashes. But if someone didn't listen and they transgressed and they swapped for another animal, then both animals become holy. Okay, so I just said that. Okay.
That's funny, my brother Yossi's shop today. Today's 4th shop.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, today's about 4. It's the 4th of February.
But he wasn't. He was named after someone. I don't think
And
my mother
Yosef.
knew about Yosef.
And
Maybe
Yosef
she did.
is
It's possible she did, but
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Just might have known it later on. But she didn't name him like that because of that.
But maybe she has a permission.
Okay, so here we go. This is the same principle. The same principle is what's going on. You're taking a mundane animal, you're taking an acher, and you're making it into a ben. It's becoming holy. So in a regular situation where everyone has a healthy relationship with Hashem, we don't do this. But in a situation of danger, in a situation when there's acher, in a situation where there are people that are not connected to Hashem, that their relationship with Hashem is not apparent, what do you have to do? Hamer Yimirenu, you have to make an exchange. You have to step out of your world, even though it's a spirit, you're going down spiritually. You have to get out of the cloud. And you have to go out of your space of davening and learning. And you have to switch places and go to the place of the disconnected Jew. And in that arena, that's where you have to work on him to bring him back into to be a child of Hashem. We have to exchange our safe haven to go out there to go out there into the streets.
So we do have to exchange and make them both kavanos? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. So what we have to do is we have to go out of our cloud, go out of Torah mitzvahs, and go into and not that we're switching places, not that we're become them and they become us, but we go into their space and we have to bring them back into the cloud.
Oh,
Yes.
You have to do it in a way that we both become holy.
Yes.
Not that we.
No. So it's a play on words. It's not exact, but it means that we should switch out of our comfort zone and go to their space to bring them and make them holy. Just like with the animals. You go take a mundane animal. Really, you're not supposed to do this. But that's why it only takes out, it highlights just 4 words in the pasuk, which makes it seem like you should do this. Go out and swap this animal that was mundane and make it holy. Go out of your comfort zone and go find the Jew that's in the mundane world, that's distant, and then they both become holy. Yes. So you could say, why should I leave my holy environment and go searching for some disconnected Jew? Said he should be conscious of the fact that he's Hashem's child. Isn't it better if I stay safe in my place? As a matter of fact, we say in davening, don't bring me into a test. So if I ask Hashem not to test me, then why would I put myself in a situation to create a test? The answer is it's true. In an ordinary situation, we don't do this. But in a situation of danger, when you're in a midbar, then we have this concept of pikuach nefesh, and it's the greatest mitzvah to save another life. And we have to, and whether it be a man, woman, child, boy, or girl, if someone's drowning in the river, you have to go and save them. You have to run at full speed to rescue that person. And it's not, if you go rescue them, it's not just that you went beyond the letter of the law, but rather if you don't save them, then you're going against the law. So in this case, we're talking about a Jew because, okay, if a person, so it's an analogy. Someone drowning in the water is an analogy. So if a non-Jew is drowning in the water, yes, you should go and save them. But we're talking spiritually speaking. If you see a Jew who's drowning in the water, meaning that they're far from Hashem, it's your responsibility to go and save them. And it's not like, oh, I'm being extra special if I go, but rather if I don't do it, then I'm actually going against the law. And of course, we have to be careful how we engage with these people. To do it in a way of halacha. We don't compromise on halacha. And we're not bringing the Torah to them. We're bringing them up to the Torah. We're not going to. We don't dilute or make any compromises in halacha, and we don't change Torah and mitzvahs. But this is what we have to do. And when we do this, when we swap places, so to speak, and we bring them back into the fold, then so it's Hamar Yimirenu, when you swap an animal. V'hayahu, what's v'haya? V'haya represents stability, as it is. V'haya is as it is, stability. So there's not going to be any shift or weakness. You're not going to lose out by going out to help someone else, but rather you're going to be strong. V'haya, nothing is going to be diminished from you. And yes, your Yiddishkeit will not decline. You're going to become stronger and firmer than before. And v'haya who represents, there's who and there's zeh. Who represents something hidden. It's a third person, not someone that's in the room. Zeh represents, I could point to it. So you take a who, someone whose connection to the Eibishter is hidden, and you turn it into a zeh. You make and you turn the who into, you reveal his connection that he always had. So you take the who and you reveal that he's really a ben.
You know what I think holds us back from doing what you're telling us to do? I don't know, maybe it's just me. We're always so afraid of judgment. We think we're just judging them. We're also afraid of how they're judging us. And it holds us back in so many areas of life. we're the biggest judges is of ourselves. And if we stop judging others, we'll stop judging ourselves.
Well, you heard like what she was saying, once said her mother gave someone candles and the person goes, "You're so pushy."
Right.
So that's what we're scared of.
Yes, we're,
Like,
what,
you say it candidly, you say it
why are you
nicely.
afraid when somebody says something like that to you? It's because inside you're raw. If you don't have a boo-boo inside and somebody says something to you, it doesn't hurt. But because you're raw, because you have your own issues where you judge yourself all the time. So if somebody else is judging you,
That's in the
it's almost like
judgment,
it's
but when
true.
you're asking someone to do a mitzvah,
Yes. What stops you?
it's a little harder
Yes.
because
What stops you? You're afraid of what they are thinking of you.
Like what you were saying about being a little pushy, because,
Yes.
you know, she
Stop
has a,
being
she has,
scared.
she has a hard time.
Why would she invite that person over?
Right, because she's afraid what this person is going to think of her home, her Shabbos table, her family. It
Either
comes down
that
to
I
judgment.
think it's the easier thing.
See, for me, let's say, right, I would love to open up my house more. But let's say my son is my priority. He's 20 years old. He's a Hasidic boy, right? So, and he quotes big Gedolim, big Rabbanim that are saying,
From the Chabad.
there's even a pasuk he quoted to me that like, till you bring them into your home,
Up till
you know,
there.
up till there. So I'm respecting him, meaning like I had once where I wanted to invite a young couple that lived around the corner. And he said to me, I'm going to Lakewood for Shabbos. A young couple, she didn't cover her hair, like didn't dress modestly.
Yeah,
He wouldn't
you
have
say
it.
it's okay.
He wouldn't, no, I'm saying he wouldn't have a hard time with it if they were, you know, whatever. And he says, I'm going to Lakewood. I said, you can't do this because you come home only once a month for Shabbos.
Yeah.
So you're my priority. Now you're gonna have to stick it out, and next time I'm gonna know, because I can't disinvite them. I didn't disinvite them, he ended up in Lakewood, which I felt I couldn't disinvite them. I
No, you
couldn't,
can't.
I couldn't do that. Like my son going to his cousins in Lakewood is fine.
So my
But meaning
parents
like,
stopped
I'm
inviting,
struggling with that because
Buffer
I
Lake.
would totally,
When
I would
was
totally
little,
have, I
yeah.
would, and my
We lived in
husband
Crown
would, my
Heights.
husband's like way out of the box.
We lived in Crown Heights
It's a
and
shame.
my
Yeah.
father stopped in, my parents stopped inviting 20-year-old single guys. He didn't want it, he didn't want
His
that. to
daughters,
be-
right,
Yeah,
right.
with icing all this and the woman's
Right.
ready.
Think
You
so.
don't
I
have to
have
see
your,
what your blend is on.
Right.
and that
Absolutely.
place, I don't, like, also, I'm careful sometimes with, if there's like like of over 12, like then I would be more careful, but.
But I'm saying there is a mentality
interesting.
in Lakewood and beyond.
Right, I'm saying.
That it's the ghetto mentality. It's the mentality of 100 years ago, and that is that we want to keep ourselves safe and secure, which is which according to this teaching, if we're going to be open and honest, it's actually the voice of Amalek. The voice of Amalek says, "Stay in the cloud and just protect yourself."
Yeah.
Mm.
So I'm sure there are psukim this way, but there's psukim the other way as well, and we have it right here in the parsha.
But he wouldn't be home, I'm saying he's really like, you
So
know,
for him,
he wouldn't go away, he would go away for Shabbos, so I'm not.
Okay,
I'm not
fine.
fighting with
It's
him.
not,
So
but
there's
that's
many
not your
times, there's
mitzvah.
many
Right.
times where I won't invite somebody if my son says, Ma, I need a quiet Shabbos. Okay,
So that's the
Well, you
same
know,
thing.
yes,
you go-
it's the
you
same
go
thing.
Once
Okay,
a
you know,
month,
yeah.
you know,
right.
that-
Now
So
he's
you
home
work
every,
around
now
it.
he's home.
On the other hand, but on the other hand, let's play both sides. Let's play this fair. And I hope I'm not being pushy either, but whatever, no judgment. But I'm saying on the other hand, if your next door neighbor is maybe not religious and maybe not dressed, 100% sneist or whatever, and there's a fire in the other person's house,
I'm gonna go.
and your son is going to say, "I don't want her to come because whatever, because up until my
Then-
house."
No, then he'll
Then
say,
no.
no, then it won't be.
Right?
It'll be-
So guess what?
No.
There's a spiritual fire. There's a spiritual fire.
So here, they're from people. That's a different kind of thing. They're from people.
They're
They're
from
not on
people
the
that-
same level as them.
They're
So
not from, they're from
inviting
people,
them-
they're from people, from
Yeah,
Shabbos,
so
from
inviting them
people.
for
If it's not
Shabbos
threats,
was
then.
inviting them for Shabbos to have company. But when it's the other way, it's very
But
interesting.
you never know how you inspire people,
Right.
because
Yeah.
I had this young girl that went to a co-ed school in New Jersey, in Inglewood. She went to First High School, which was co-ed. I hired her through a site, 11th grade and 12th grade. She worked for me just for the summer. I don't know how we found like JewishNanny.com. Anyway, her parent, like she knew nothing about Lakewood. I mean, it's an hour and a half in the other direction. She thought like, anyway, we became such good friends. She ended up marrying a from guy, like from a Hungarian background. She's the only shaitel in her whole family. And she says to me, Razy, you taught me I could be you could be from and you could be normal. And I don't remember teaching her anything. I don't remember, I never told her she had, like my kids were very little and she was very petite, so I never told her she has to wear socks. Like it wasn't like a thing, it's okay, you know? But the only time I told her she has to wear socks is she wanted to go to shul for Tisha B'Av to hear the Eicha. And I was like, but you have to put on socks. Like it's the only thing I told her. And she tells me years later, and she has a family, she's in her 30s, and she's from, and she tells me, Razy, you told me that. And I'm like,
Wow. Okay, so we're gonna continue.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
That my mother
therapist.
has dementia, and we used to have a Shabbos table, and I had my friends over, and she would tell the girl, you have to cover up, he can't make Kiddush like that. And I'd say, Ma, she's about Shuva. She wasn't. Ma, she's about Shuva. But that part in her dementia, she could not grasp. She did not stop. Cover up, cover. I mean, then I gave her a scarf, and then I gave out scarves to my friends, because I said, my mother just bothers everybody, so you have to, because that
Cover
was.
up what though,
Yeah, her sleeves were
her
short.
sleeve, okay,
Her
what
sleeves
show
were
you
short.
meant her?
No, so she had
Okay.
that, she had this whole thing with the
yeah,
short
that's interesting. It's an
sleeves, you
interesting
know?
fine line. I don't know.
Okay, let's continue. Let's continue.
Sensitivity.
Okay. Go ahead, go ahead.
Sarah comes down, and it's just on me and Jan, and we're fine.
I'm happy
We
for
don't
you.
need a lot of people, we could have just us, right?
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I would like that one day when I grow old and have to contend with my kids. I'll do that more.
I have a long relationship with a friend, she's Catholic, and she goes to Freedom Mall, and she tells me this story years ago. And she says, Kara, I love babies, but sometimes when I go up to the religious at the mall, they're not nice to me, I say, oh, they're so cute, so she feels, I said, well, they're probably a little scared, they're
Total strangers.
They're total stranger, and it's just more comfortable to just like, to try to explain, but they also fear, being judged, I guess, yeah.
On the other hand, okay, I'm sorry that I'm being so passionate. But on the other hand, I think the time has come that we have to shift a little bit. We have to get out of our box. We have to do something different. We need Mashiach to come. We can't just be in our insular world. We have to do something more. And I'm going to continue the teaching, and you're going to see
You would
for
never
yourself.
be like, you would be friendly.
But we all have this responsibility. We're in a very, very dangerous, spiritually, physically desert. The news is horrific. There's so much tragedy. We need this to end, and we need to do something. We can't just we can't just continue the path that we're doing. We have to make a change. And the Rebbe continues. It's an emergency. Yes, the Rebbe continues. It says that people could have an argument, and they could have a complaint, and they could say, if you tell me, go out of my cloud to bring someone else into the cloud, that I could understand. But what about if I go out of my cloud to put tefillin on with someone, or they should make a bracha on the Lulav and Esrog, and then, or to light Shabbos candles, and then he or she goes back to his or her assimilated environment. What's the value if that Jew goes back to where he comes from and he does not enter or stay in the holy cloud? And the Rambam says, the answer, and so the Rebbe says, and brings the Rambam, and he says that every single Jew is required to see himself as if there is as if the whole world right now is in a perfect balance between positive and negative. And your single mitzvah could tip the scale and bring salvation to the entire world and bring Mashiach. And every time a Jew does a mitzvah, it creates a bond, a connection. That's what the word mitzvah means. It means a connection between him and Hashem. And mitzvah gereris mitzvah. One mitzvah leads to another mitzvah. Your job, our job, is to do. It's not up to us what the outcome is going to be. Even if you don't see the transition, even if you don't see the person changing, you don't see the person becoming holy, you don't see the person staying in your cloud. The pasuk, which was Hamer Yimirenu V'Hayahu, those are the words that are represent Yud Kei Vav Kei. But the end of the pasuk says, Utmurasa Kodesh. I think that's what it is. I hope I'm quoting it right. The end of the pasuk says that the second animal is going to be holy, but that's not in the Rashi Teves. Your job is to do the swap. What's going to happen after? It's not your business. And I'll tell you what happened. The Kaufman family, we met them 20 years ago, or something like that. We met them at the Ocean County Mall when we were building a Lego menorah at the Ocean County Mall, and they happened to walk by, and that's how we met them. We met them at the mall with the Lego menorah. We met Sharon Chester at that time as well, and we invited them, and it took a very long time until they actually came. And we started when we started a Jewish scrapbooking club for my friend Rachi, a Jewish scrapbooking club, as a merit for my friend Rachi, who was in a coma at the time, and Hannah and Victoria and Rachel and Sharon Chester and Emily, they were all there they were all there by that first Jewish scrapbooking club, which was actually on the day that my friend Rachi passed away. And Matzei Shabbos, my husband and I went to Margate, and Hannah was asking, what does Judaism say? Is there an afterlife? And I said, Hannah, do you remember that Jewish scrapbooking club? I said, do you remember we were scrapbooking the Jewish life cycle events, and there was a road. I mean, all the life cycle events, birth and upsharnish and bar bas mitzvah and teenage years and marriage and children and grandparents, and then there was a yahrzeit candle. And then I said, do you remember that after the yahrzeit candle, the road continued? And remember what I said that day? That even after a person passes away, their neshama lives on forever. And they remembered. He said, yes, we remember that scrapbooking page. And my husband said to them he said a few stories. He said a number of stories. First, he said to them that the Frierdiker Rebbe, the previous Lubavitch Rebbe, he was imprisoned in Russia. And they wanted him to say whatever they wanted him to say things that weren't true. They were pressuring him, and he said, no, I'm not. They were interrogating him, and he said, no, I'm not going to answer. And so they took out a revolver, they took out a gun, and they said, we have a toy that makes people talk. And the Frierdiker Rebbe said, this toy works for people that have two gods and one world. But for a person that has one God and two worlds, this toy doesn't do anything. And then another thing that my husband shared, he said there was a boy, and he was there was some kind of music competition in school, and this boy, he didn't play so well, and he was absent during the practices towards the end of this, when the kids were getting ready for this music competition, and came the day of the music competition, and they weren't even going to put him up because he didn't come to the practice, and he wasn't such a good player. Anyway, some reason they put him up to play, and he played like no one ever heard before. He played so beautifully on the piano. And his teacher came running over to him and said, what happened? You missed all the practices and you never played like this before. How are you able to play so well? And he said, I was absent the last few days because my father died. And my father was deaf. He was never able to hear me play. But now that he died, he could hear me play. And that's why I played like that. And that's why I played like this. That's what gave me the kayak to play like this. And the girls and they're all crying. And Rachel says to the girls, Daddy can see everything now.
Wow.
So okay, I got distracted. What was I saying before? Okay. So I'm telling the story. So basically,
That whole word,
so the
one God.
going back, we met the Kaufmans, and they came to our first Jewish scrapbooking club, and we were, we were very close with them. We made a bas mitzvah for their girls, and when I came it's not even Shiva, it was Matzei Shabbos. The house was full of people. And everyone was coming and saying, "Oh, I remember the challah that you had by that bas mitzvah." We're talking like, Hannah's 21. It was, and 9 years ago. I'm sorry, 9 years ago that the family was by our house for a dinner that we had for the bas mitzvah, and they came to us and they went to the conservative. They had a bas mitzvah by us and a bas mitzvah there. But we planted those seeds. We did the best we could. Then came COVID, and then the Kaufmans, they moved. They sold their house and they moved to Margate. They had a small house in Toms River, but they were basically in Margate, which is over an hour away. And I literally have not seen these girls in like 5 years, Hannah and Victoria. And I walked in there Matzei Shabbos with my husband. They didn't know I was coming. And they saw me, Rachel saw me, and she gave me like this biggest hug, like you can't imagine. She was like a sob from like the depths of her soul. Her girls came running from wherever they were, biggest hug. And then the room was full of people. And we sat down, my husband and myself and Rachel and her daughters and the boyfriend and the other relatives. We sat for 2 hours. These girls didn't just go back to talk to all the other people that were in the house. And more people came when they were gathering around us to hold on to every word that my husband was saying for just a drop of comfort. And as I told you yesterday was the funeral. And there were at least 400 people in that room. And the sobbing and the tears and the grief was beyond. And the people and everyone said that Jared was my best friend. Everyone thought that Jared was their best friend. And one person stood up. He knew Jared for 32 years. He was with him in residency as a doctor, and he said, he's crying, and he said, besides my wife, I don't know if there's any other person in the world that I could speak to about anything. And it was crazy. But anyway, picture this: 400 people. And there's a conservative rabbi that my husband was co-officiating with because he had no other choice. And
before the
yes, I'm saying he passed away on Thursday, and the funeral didn't happen until Monday, and we went Matzei Shabbos.
Oh wow!
And my husband is standing.
Do you have a Jewish burial in the end?
Yes, my husband is standing.
It just is formality, but
my husband is standing with his white shirt and jacket and black hat like a Chabad shliach. There's not one person in that room that looks like him, and he stood with Jewish pride. And Jared had so many friends and so many associates and such a family, and he was the. But when it came to it, the seeds that we planted years ago, I'm telling you, I haven't seen them in so long. The girls, and the seeds. His wife called us immediately. But I'm saying is that sometimes you plant seeds. You say, "What's what?" So we had the scrapping class, we had the bas mitzvah, and then we didn't really see them so much after that. And you could say, "Oh, we could say, what was the point?" But yet, we saw the point. We saw the point unfortunately for not a good reason. But my husband stood in front of 400 people and gave an incredible speech and made sure that burial was 100%. And he stuck out like a sore thumb with his garb. And the seeds that we planted, we're able to see. And you know what? Not one person went to hug the other rabbi. Not one person, you know? And everyone was hugging my husband and thanking him and whatever. But what I'm saying is you don't know, you plant the seed, you don't know what the outcome is going to be. That a person should have 100% Orthodox, kosher, everything burial, from even people that you may have lost touch with or moved away. Okay, so let me just finish up here. Okay, so we're done 5 minutes. Okay, and a person, so we're responsible for our actions, not for the outcome. And a person should not say, "Oh, I reached out to one person one time to do a mitzvah, and now I can wipe my hands clean because I did what I have to do." But rather, every opportunity that presents itself, that we have an opportunity to connect to another Jew and to ignite their soul. And sometimes we have to repeat ourselves 100 times until we light that light and that they could stand by themselves and be a flame to light the next person. And we have to do everything in our power. It's our responsibility at this very moment to bring every Jew close to Hashem. And we are approaching Yud Shvat. This Shabbos is Yud Shvat, which is the yahrzeit of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, whose name was Yosef Yitzchak. Yosef, and his yahrzeit is Yud Shvat, which is the month of Shvat, which is whole pasuk of it's hard for me to say the words. I have to keep going back to make sure that I get it right. Hamer Yimirenu v'hayahu. So this whole concept, this is what the Frierdiker Rebbe did in Russia and beyond to make sure that not one Jew will be left behind. And he dispatched shluchim to do this work, and the shluchim already appointed other shluchim, which is the Rebbe sent his shluchim out, and we're not going with our own power. We can't be successful on our own. We have to go with Atzmis Yosef. We have to go with the bones of Yosef. We have to go with the power of the Rebbe to inspire another Jew. And when we do that, our own mind and heart will become 1,000 times more clear. And the Frierdiker Rebbe's second name was Yitzchak, that it has to be done with tremendous simcha.
Yitzchak means joy.
Yes. And this way, this is how we're gonna bring Mashiach. When we go out there, every single Jew back home. And I'll just say one more tiny story, and that is that a rabbi from Israel asked the Rebbe why he doesn't go to visit Israel, to move to Israel, to visit Israel. And the Rebbe gave different responses at different times, even to him. And then one time he got very serious, and he said, "I made a hachlata that I'm never gonna be more than 24 hours away from the tzion, from the oyel of the Frierdiker Rebbe, of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, and that's why I'm not going to visit Israel. If I was to go to visit Israel, it would be a distance of more than 24 hours away from Atzmis Yosef." And so
California to visit other like Florida has.
No.
You can go back and forth from Florida to
So this individual said to the rabbi, he said, "Oh, Atzmis says it's spiritual anyway. You could spiritually take whatever Atzmis says represents and go to Israel." The rabbi got very, very serious, and he had a very pained look on his face. And this rabbi, he apologized. He said, "I take back the question," because he saw how much pain he brought the rabbi. So the point is that to go to the Ayhel, or to connect to the essence, it's a really big deal. It's a really big deal, and the only way that shluchim have the power how you have one Chabad shliach to stand in 400 people, Yiskala Viskala Shmei Abba, and I can't begin to describe it, but it's all from the koyach, it's all the koyach of the Beshalach. And I said to him as Master Shabbos, we're walking into Rachel's house, and my husband said, Hashem Sfasai Tiftach. I have no idea what I'm going to say. And he came in there, and they said, Rabbi, why? And my husband says, I'm not being Hashem's lawyer tonight. but Hashem Sfasai Tiftach, when you go with the bittul and you realize that it's the Atzmus Yosef, you have to hold on to the Atzmus Yosef, which is Yosef the Hashem ben Acher, which is take the Acher and to bring it into a ben, take the other side and bring it into holiness. When you hold on to the and you hold on to this mission statement, and you hold on to the you have to hold on to the essence of Yosef. This is how we're successful to bring Mashiach now.
Amen. Wow, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ah,
Yeah. Okay.